So, this is the Yoyo Factory Skydancer offstring yo-yo. It's one of the cheapest offstring yo-yos on the market, making it a great choice for beginners who want to pick up for A but don't know where to start. But how good is it really? In this video, I'm going to review it, describe what I like and don't like about the yo-yo, what I use it for, and whether you should buy this yo-yo. So first let's get into the specs. The yo-yo is about 77 millimeters in diameter and 60 millimeters in width. This makes it one of the wider in terms of diameter offstring yo-yos, but much less on the width. This means that it's overall a little harder to catch, although shouldn't be too big of a deal and may even help you learn the basics a little more precisely than if you chose a more wide yo-yo. The next thing is its diameter. What this means is that you can get some really long spin times even if you have a weak throw, which is really good if you're playing inside and you don't want to risk destroying lights or, I don't know, glasses nearby. So having this longer spin time basically means you obviously get more time to do your longer combos, which is really useful in competition or when you're learning. You can take things really slow and go through things and you don't have to worry about a spin dying on you. For example, trying to learn this green triangle entry, I don't have to worry about the spin dying on me when I'm trying to work out how the slack goes or what I'm trying to do in this step. However, even despite this, its spin time isn't as good as the more expensive yo-yos, which should be obvious considering that more expensive yo-yos are much more extensively designed. They have more access to expensive materials and different techniques such as using multiple weight rings or, all that. Now another thing to mention, and this is more of a negative point, is gap width. I find this to be a little too small, but that may just be because I'm using really thick string. I'm using original Profet. Highly recommended, but it is very thick. Even so, my other yo-yos don't snag as much as this, just because their gap widths are a little bigger. Basically what the problem here is that when you have a yo-yo with a thin gap width, it makes it way harder to do tricks where multiple string goes into the bearings. This means that you can't do more technical tricks, maybe like engine. You can do this, but it is very difficult and you lose a lot of spin time. Another point is that when you throw, you're way more likely to get snags, and this is a huge complaint that I have with the Skydancer. And while it eventually becomes much less of a problem due to good technique, it does make the learning really difficult and sometimes even painful. Which is why, if you're going to get this yo, recommend get some gloves, wear them, cut some thumb holes out of the gloves. See my other video for why you should do that, but just do it. But here, if I give an example of, I don't know, if I do this, you see it just snags, I'm not able to do something else would have done, and then I have to, reset the throw before I'm ready to throw again. And even then, you can see that if your throw is not perfect, it can still snag. And obviously you don't want that to happen, especially if you're in a competition or something where every second counts, and a snag could mean the difference between winning and losing, especially if you have to get that major deduction for stopping the yo-yo. But how does it play? Well, I think it plays pretty alright, especially considering the price. So you can see that, as you can see before, the spin time is good enough to learn all your tricks. And yeah, it's a little lighter. It's got a very angular profile, meaning that it's much easier for you to catch the yo-yo, even though its width is a little smaller. And the spin time does mean that you can learn some tricks better. However, you may have some difficulties learning tricks such as chopstick tricks, because of this increased diameter, or much more difficult whip tricks that require you to catch the yo-yo on the string because of the reduced width. Of course, still possible. Now, the reduced width does make it much easier for you to do your open string binds or your regens. For example, in the classic underhand whip, or do you want to do like just Rio or Kura shoot the moon. I'm not quite good at that yet, but you can definitely do it on this Yoyo. So I'd say it's very good for mastering the basics and maybe some more complex tricks such as, you know, orbits. Or even like horizontal. I will say that of course the reduced gap width does make it really hard to learn horizontal. So if you're going to get to that stage, which is quite advanced, I'd recommend you get another Yoyo, maybe like a contrail or an unlimited. Now that's just a single Yoyo, and when I use these sky dancers, I actually bought two to learn solo hand. So how did these work for solo hand? So how do they play for solo hand? Well, the answer is pretty good. They also do like individual tricks, maybe small combos, and due to that lighter length, it is maybe a little easier to do certain tricks, even if it's a little harder to do some others. I missed the binder, but don't worry about it. The bind is actually a little easier because of the reduced gap width, making it quite a good solo ham Yoyo, especially if you're first starting out. I use these and yep, they work pretty good, especially because that price point, it can't be beat. Like, this Yoyo is maybe 5 times cheaper than some of the other Yoyos in my collection, meaning that, if you're just starting out, get these Yoyos if you want to learn solo hand. Now, these aren't the most stable Yoyos, of course, since they're, single material and just got a very average weight distribution, but they're good enough for you to learn the good habits without being punishing to learn to play. Of course, the snags are a pretty major disadvantage, but I find that can often be nullified by good technique and shorter and thinner string. But not for everyone, so I would recommend this to people who have never played offstring and are looking to start. People who maybe know a little bit of offstring, already maybe have one of these and want to learn solo hand. People who, of course, who want to play solo hand without breaking the bank. And yeah, if you're more advanced, if you know much more tricks, then maybe you don't want to get these. Maybe you want to get like a contrail or an unlimited, maybe something even more expensive like a flawless or an EOM or a bandless. But those are all Yoyos I haven't reviewed this yet, so maybe in the future. In conclusion, the Sky Dancer is both the best and the worst Yoyo I've reviewed, because it's the only one I've reviewed.